Hi guys, it's Teresa here. I am doing a video today about breastfeeding. We thought it would be a good opportunity because we are celebrating World Breastfeeding Week 2019. Firstly, I want to say that hello, you're looking at me, hello. I am an advocate for breastfeeding, but I am mostly an advocate for happy mama and supported, empowered mama. And if that means that breastfeeding isn't working out for you and you make the choice, an informed choice, to turn to donated breast milk or formula, then I support that. And I think that you should feel good about your choice and your decision and be easy on yourself. I think a lot of the focus these days is on how imperative it is to try to breastfeed your baby. And I think if we can all give it our best shot, that is a beautiful thing. And if we don't quite land where we want to land with it, then that's okay, we've given it our best. We know that breastfeeding is the healthiest thing for baby. What is also incredibly healthy for baby is being fed. So if you choose a wonderful, organic, high quality formula, that's a great choice. There are also amazing milk banks these days. And my mum always says that, so I was not breastfed. I was only breastfed for about 4 weeks. And my mum has talked about how she really wishes that there was the option to have donated milk back when I was a little baby, because she would have opted for that. Instead, I was a formula-fed baby. I turned out fine. But I have chosen to breastfeed all of my babies, and I am now in my fifth year of breastfeeding. I have breastfed Bodhi. I breastfed Bodhi for a few years, and then I tandem breastfed Bodhi and Forrest together for about 5 months, and then I weaned Bodhi, and I continued breastfeeding Forrest all the way through Poet's pregnancy, and now I am currently tandem breastfeeding Forrest and Poet. So I've had lots of different colourful experiences with breastfeeding, and it is something that I cherish and I love so much. It's such an important part of my mothering journey. I feel really honoured that I am able to... You need a snack. What's going on, my boy? I was just talking about you and how you sometimes drink the boobie, huh?
I want a snack.
Okay, well, maybe you can get one over there. Anyway, so I was saying that I just love being able to breastfeed. I love the experience that I have with my children. I feel very connected, and I count myself lucky because I know that not everyone can breastfeed. Some women have medical conditions which mean they can't breastfeed. Some women choose not to breastfeed. Some babies have physical ailments and they can't actually breastfeed. Both my children, my first 2 children, had tongue ties. So that's something you might find too. If you're struggling with getting a confident and good latch, you might actually have, your baby might be tongue tied. Or have a little lip tie, and they're very easy to get rid of. Typically they're quite painless to get rid of that, and that might help you get that really great latch. So successful breastfeeding for most, excuse me 1 second, I'm just going to shut this door. So successful breastfeeding a lot of the time has to do with that initial first latch, and to get a great latch, you need a number of things to go in your favour. Firstly, you need to have a really supportive partner, because getting that latch right in the first 24 hours is really important. Maybe you are in a hospital situation where you have a nurse or a midwife able to show you what a good latch looks like. A lot of hospitals will have a lactation consultant come around to all the new mamas and watch you nurse and make sure that you're doing it correctly, or that it's feeling comfortable. And really, you just need support. You need to feel empowered. You need to feel that you're doing a good job, mama. And sometimes that's all it takes to make, to just breastfeed with confidence, and to know that you are doing what's right for your baby and you're trying to figure it out. And we all go through a period of time where we're just not sure if it's working out, or is my baby gaining enough weight? Is my baby happy? Am I meeting all the needs? I mean, it's such a funny thing to be given a little baby that they've grown in our bellies for 10 months, and then we birth them, and then we have these little newborns that we have to look after. And sometimes that's really daunting to figure out, am I doing it right? Am I nursing right? Is she getting enough milk? Do I need to be doing it round the clock? Do I do on demand, or do I do a routine? So what I found, and what Latch League International recommends, is nursing on demand is a wonderful way to ensure that you are having increased milk supply, that baby's being fed. Baby can't be overfed by being breastfed. And if you meet their need when the need arises, instead of watching the clock and saying, oh, well, baby ate 2 hours ago, she shouldn't be hungry. But if instead you actually just listen to their cues and you realize that baby is hungry, maybe they've eaten 3 times in that hour, but that is their need at that particular time of day. And every day is going to look a little bit different. At first, with my first son, Bodhi, I had this app and I was timing all of my breastfeeds and when he slept and then I realized that didn't feel instinctual to me. What really felt instinctual was to just listen to my baby. And sometimes that meant a 20-minute feed followed by an hour later a 40-minute feed followed by an hour later a 10-minute feed, switching breasts back and forth. And I didn't stress out about it. I knew if he had wet nappies and he was pooping and he was putting on weight, then I knew that I was doing good by him and I was feeding him the way I should be. I think we get so caught up in, am I doing it the right way, that sometimes we can get really stressed out and anxious about breastfeeding, and it doesn't need to be that way. I highly recommend doing your research before you have the baby in your arms. Don't just assume that breastfeeding is going to come naturally to you, because it doesn't typically happen that way. I think I felt very confident. I had read all the books and I was like, breastfeeding is going to be easy. All my friends who have had babies before me, they all breastfeed fine. And then when it came down to it, I remember Bodhi was a few hours old. She just did a massive vom on the ground. I'll just clean that up later, third baby. He was a few hours old and this nurse came around and there I was like sitting up and, oh, wow. Woo, that was a good one. All right, I'm gonna have to go soon. I was sitting up in bed trying to put my nipple in Bodhi's mouth and trying to get him on there, and he sort of had this very shallow latch. And I thought, well, I guess this is what breastfeeding is. And then the woman, the nurse came over to me and said, it is baby to breast, not breast to baby. And she was quite forceful with the back of his head, and she grabbed my nipple like a pancake and grabbed the back of his head and just shoved his head on my boob, and he went, and he had almost the whole areola in his mouth and just started sucking. And that was it. That was the perfect latch, and we got it. And if it wasn't for that nurse at Cedars-Sinai, thank you if you're watching, I wouldn't have known how to get that right latch. I still would have been trying to put my nipple in the mouth, and it was sore and it wasn't working. And I needed someone to show me, because guess what? It wasn't like how I thought it would be, where the baby would just crawl to the breast and just start naturally having the perfect latch and it would just begin in this loving way that was easy. It wasn't like that. It was more, I had to analyze it. I had to really figure it out. I had strategy. And then once I knew, all right, my main aim was try and get as much of the areola in the baby's mouth as possible and bring baby onto breast. That was it for me. I had the great latch and I've had a really successful breastfeeding relationship since then. You need support. I'm all for the 4th trimester. It's the trimester after, or the first 3 months post-birth. And lots of women just have their baby, then gone out and back to all the social things. They have kids, they're doing school runs, pickups, drop-offs, you know, a very full social calendar. And what you really should be doing in those few months, if you can, is laying low, getting to know your baby, working on your breastfeeding relationship, meeting the baby's needs as they arise, being nourished by your community and fed and taken care of, and people coming over and doing your washing and cooking for you and holding baby so you can shower. And just in so many other countries around the world, women are held in that way for the 3 months post-birth so that they can just focus on being a mama and finding their legs with their new baby. I highly recommend that as much as you can. Get your birth support team to realize that you want to have that time, that period of time. The first 40 days, there's a great book about it too that I highly recommend. And you need that support. And if you don't have that support, that's when a lot of women find themselves having difficulties with breastfeeding. And if that is the case and you are feeling lost, I absolutely hear you. I know how hard it can be, the mastitis, the cracked nipples, the blocked milk ducts, the sleepless nights, the just figuring it out. It can be so hard, mamas. And what you need is, you need to communicate your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and hire a lactation consultant. Have someone come every day to the house and watch you breastfeed. Have, you know, trusted friends who you know have had a successful breastfeeding relationship come over and, you know, watch you breastfeed, try and establish that great latch. And I promise you, this too shall pass. You will see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if you decide that breastfeeding is not for you, first and foremost, I know Latch League recommend donated milk, and there are great milk banks out there. So do your research. Please just make informed decisions and know that you got this. You can do this. We're all in this together, and don't worry, it doesn't just come so supernatural to everyone. In fact, most people will struggle. And if you're being honest with your friends and family, I'm sure we would all say, oof, those days were hard. Yeah, I had cracked nipples. Yeah, it sucked. I remember once having a blocked milk duct that was so bad that I had to pierce it with a needle, and I had to disinfect the needle by putting it in a flame and then piercing it and then having my baby suck and suck and suck to get rid of the blocked duct. And it was miserable 48 hours, and I felt like throwing in the towel. And these things are going to happen time and time again. We move through it, and then you get to a really wonderful place where it's easy and beautiful and loving, and it's such a lovely connection. And that gaze that you have, mother to baby, I think that they say it's a 30 centimeter gaze, is just, there's nothing like it. It's really, it's a lovely experience. So guys, I love you. Happy breastfeeding week. You're doing great, and thank you so much for watching. All right.